Another week, another low energy videos. This one is a low energy opinion. But don't worry, compared to some, this is actually a really fun one. At least for me, because I get to go down memory lane. I get to talk about my top 10 games from each console I ever owned. Not ones I ever played, because I played a lot of them, but I only ever owned one or two. And I'm going to go by list of machines that I owned. So this video is going to be obviously the Sega Mega Drive, or as you guys called it over in the States, the Genesis. I was generally surprised I got 10 of these. But first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show images and explain my history with some of them. I'll have more varied memories than others. But one thing, unfortunately, I don't want to do much of, maybe at the beginning a quick sliver of it, is actual gameplay footage. And there's a reason for that. I can't emulate. I don't have a Sega Mega Drive anymore. I haven't for decades. And I really do not want to steal anyone else's thunder. I'll have tiny links, tiny videos with links attached. So, God, it's only been a week and this beard is falling apart. But I'll just have images on the screen for each of them. And also, it's not in any particular order, especially with these old ones, because I don't have so much dedicated love for some of these games, but they're games that stood out with me. And this also does include rental games. So with all that out of the way, number 10 on my top 10 list for my favorite Sega Mega Drive games of all time. Come on. Nah. Oh, it's this finger. Oh. So, I don't need to tell you about this game, do I? The poster boy, the almighty Grand Poobah of Sega, and the one who lost against Mario. Sonic has had years and years and years of content made about him, some of which is horribly sexualized, like to the point where you just have to go stranger danger. But back in the day, Sonic was just a edgy rival to Mario. He was so fucking cool to my very young self. Now, I got a Mega Drive because I knew someone who had a Super Nintendo, and I thought, hey, I'd know them for years to come. Well, I did, but the Super Nintendo wasn't much longer for this world. But I got a Sega Mega Drive, and it was glorious. I had never seen colors quite this bright. I had never ran this fast before in any game. The music was great. And the plot was pretty straightforward. You know, there's this motherfucker right here by the name of Eggman who steals your friends and is after these sort of crystal things, and you have to go and stop him. Along the way, you do random shit like collect rings, which gives you lives, and well, actually, it doesn't give you lives per se. What it does, it provides you as a sort of barrier. When Mario would get hits, if he didn't have a mushroom or a star, he'd just die. But Sonic, he had his lives separate, but the rings would just A, double up to your score, and B, also provide you with so much protection, as well as that invincibility flash that would go across screen. And nowadays you can look back at it and there's tons of different versions and remakes and fan-made games that, you know, you can clearly see the game isn't that great. The whole object of Sonic is to run really, really, really fast. Also, fuck this. You see this? The temple level? Fuck it. Fuck it so hard. I hated this then and I hate it now. But, yeah. But Sonic, yeah, I feel you, buddy. I feel you. Sonic's whole point is to go really fast, and yet you'd have all these blocks pop up everywhere that would just stop you. And in other games, they learn from that mistake, and that's why I think Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 is so much better. But Sonic 1 is where it all began, and to me, it will always have its nostalgic place in my heart. But nowadays, if I ever want to play an old Sonic game again, I could always just get the Sega Mega Drive collection and get my hands on Sonic 2 and 3. I mean, hell, there's Tails right there. I had a plushie of him. Don't know why I wanted to add that bit. Content. Anyway, next up is number 9. Oh boy, editing is hard. Right, so next on the list is Dynamite Headdy. I fucking love Dynamite Headdy so goddamn much. He was made by Treasure, and I'm aware that they made other games, but this is the only one I ever knew them for. It was, without a shadow of doubt, the trippiest shit I had ever seen until I had access to the internet. Unless I saw Eraserhead at some point, but that would have been trippy in a negative way. So, the idea is, you play as Headdy, who is this puppet and all-round superstar. And there's this evil motherfucker, not this one, although he wants to be the main bad guy, that is more or less trying to turn all your friends evil. I've got that picture around here somewhere. There we are. They're all going to be turned evil, and your job is to more or less fuck them over. And in the process, maybe save a princess or something like that. I think there's a princess involved. You do it by, as you saw in the opening, smashing your head into things. Where, oh, where, oh, where, oh, where, oh, where, oh, there it is. You can see there. And you would get power-ups to increase your strength or be able to fly, shoot fireballs, whatever, and up there's your health. And it's all done in this rolling stage thing that was great, but what was really great was like the villain design. I mean, look at these motherfuckers right here. That's just him standard. Trouble Bruin his name is. There's a lot of puns in this as well. But that's the main one, King Dark or whatever the fuck it is. I know I'm kind of cutting it off here, but that's a baby's head. I kind of remember the baby's head. Oh, and every time you kill Trouble, he keeps coming back, but his head's being strapped onto something else, and he gets progressively more and more lamer. Till eventually he's like in the trash as this trash monster. I love the puns and the jokes in this. There was also a bonus ending if you got everything where you would fight the executive who made the game and he'd be flinging money at you while goons were trying to catch you. I should have brought the picture up somewhere, but I did not. But it was so trippy and so active. Plus you heard the opening theme. I love this game, and it does nowhere near get as much love as, say, Sonic does. Maybe understandable, maybe it doesn't have the lasting appeal. As far as I'm aware, it didn't have much in the way of a sequel. But I absolutely loved it. I loved how the really limited Sega shit was like brought closer to the screen, brought further out. You can see that you'd be sliding off if you weren't careful. Planes would fly near towards the screen to fire at you. And it was so frantic, and it really felt like you were on a treadmill, more or less. And it was just cool. I fucking loved it. Also, this is going to take forever, so I'm dividing this into 2 parts, but that's going to be at number 5. Now, we move on.
Earthworm Jim.
Nearly done. And I'm so glad. I was not expecting this to go on as long as it did. One more afterwards. Especially with that music just there. That was so pleasant. Nothing says love like nostalgic pipe organ. But yeah, columns. And as you can see, I don't have much in the way of pictures for this one. This is more or less a shinier version of Tetris. There's a tiny bit of a difference, but it's not exactly a huge one. Objects roughly about the same. You put these, often what they look like are breath mints to me, on rows, and they go, and they vanish. All to a lovely soundtrack. You can play 2-player. It's columns. It's just columns. I always like the opening screen, especially this one, where you, if you didn't do anything for a long time, this little bag of theirs will start spewing out gems. It almost looked like a slot machine from like the early 90s. Also found this image. Okay. That raises several questions. Unless it's just been slapped on by someone. Of course, by the way, someone owns all of these pictures I've been showing you. But I just can't go and give credit to every single one. If you saw your stuff in this video, by all means just go and tell me in the comments. I will give you credit. I don't own any of this stuff except for the stuff in my mind. Later on I might be able to get my own footage for the games and shit, but yeah, columns. It was alright. It was a lot more interesting than the Game Boy version of Tetris I had, but gee, I wonder which won out at the end of the day. Still, if someone were to hand me a disc or a code for columns, or even point me to a free play version of it, yes please. But for now, we got one more, and then I can take a break. So let us get into the one that actually got me going in the first place for all this. Transition. And here we are. We started with Sonic, we'll finish with Sonic. And this actually was, for the longest time, the last Sonic game I ever owned. Actually, as far as I'm aware, really was the last Sonic game I ever owned. Whether I grew up and didn't give a shit about Sonic anymore, I don't know. But this was a gimmick and a half. As you can see here, the game has something called lock-on technology, which basically allowed you to flip that little door on the top of the cartridge open and put in other games. You basically would combine Sonic 2 or 3 and get a bonus game for Sonic 1 if you played it that way. If not, you got this, which always felt like a dick move. One thing I noticed though, they moved sometimes, but sometimes if the games were really incompatible, they'd just stand perfectly still with no music, and it would be a little bit creepy. So yeah, you're basically fighting Eggman, same as the first, gems, robots, but this time you're joined by Knuckles, who is not as fast as you, because what would be the point of Sonic if he was at least as fast? But Knuckles could A, be stronger, and B, glide, which was really cool at the time, but let's be honest here, Tails was better. And speaking of, there is the two becoming one, while Knuckles fan fiction becomes a reality. The game looked better, it looked shinier and cleaner, and the gimmick stuff really added to it. It allowed for replayability, and it allowed for whole different ways of playing levels on over and over again. And I know it's same as the first game and most of the others. It's been ported, it's been modified, it's been hacked. But to me, this was the last Sonic game. I was curious about that Sonic CD, but I've had to get the Saturn, and I didn't get the Saturn. But yeah, I absolutely loved this game as a kid, and I can't actually remember any other game I got after this, so this might have very well been not only my last Sonic game, but my last ever Mega Drive game. But this is not the last on my list. This is only number 5. At least I hope it is. I don't think I want to keep in the same sort of joke twice. But I planned to release all of them at once, but this video's been going on for ages, and I haven't even gotten half an hour into it yet. So I'm dividing it up into 2-parters. I'll give you the next one next week. So, hope you enjoyed this very first one, and I hope you enjoyed the next one. I hope you enjoy them all, because I plan to do different consoles as I got them in my life. But if you enjoyed it, remember to like. If you didn't enjoy it, well, you got all the way to the ending and watched it, so fuck you. It's your fault, not mine. But also remember to dislike, so I can get your feedback. Speaking of feedback, comment, and subscribe if you've not already done so. That would be appreciated. And I will see you at the time of this recording tomorrow, time I upload this later, for some Fallout New Vegas live streaming. So pop in and watch me play a really cool game until my computer crashes. So I will see you again soon. Bye.